Welcome back to the Play On Canada podcast. We're now joined by Jamie Lee Rattray, a current member of the PWHPA. She represented Canada at the highest level, winning silver and bronze with the Canadian women's hockey national team. Jamie, hello. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Judging by that extensive resume you have in the hockey career, I could only imagine being on this podcast is probably up there too, right, Jamie?
Absolutely, it is. I mean, anything for Play On. I think when I was a kid, I grew up playing in the tournament, and actually worked for Play On for a summer. So, I mean, anything. It's just one of the definitely on top of the list. That's for sure.
Now, let me cut in here, Jamie. So we heard through the grapevine that you were once upon a time an intern at Play On. Tell me, what was that like? How you got involved? Just all the details.
Well, actually, so I went to Clarkson University, which is in New York State, kind of an hour and a half from Ottawa, where I grew up, and we had to do as a business major. We had to do an internship as part of our program. So I knew that Play On. I had played in the tournament before, and I knew that Play On was kind of right up my alley with hockey and sports. And actually, one of my friends, Melissa Sprega, who was actually she was an event planner or event manager for Play On, and so she actually I got in touch with her, and she was able to put me on as an intern and work with her through the summer, and I got to go to quite a few events, Barrie, Ottawa, Toronto, and kind of see how it works behind the scene. And I actually had a great time. I remember one event, I think it was in Barrie, and the beginning of May, I think it hailed and it rained all day.
Oh no.
And the tournament still went on, but I remember being so cold and having to go into the trailers and heat up and that kind of stuff. But I met some pretty great people there, and I really enjoyed actually seeing how the event came together. I think it's really neat how you don't really realize, if you're a participant in the event, how many moving pieces and moving parts there are for everything to come together. And I think it was really, really fun for me and to see that side of it as well.
Jamie, with Play On attempting to come back, hopefully in 2022 after COVID is done, what does Play On mean to you? And walk us through maybe some of your great experiences playing in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an opportunity, at least for me, back, I want to say, end of high school and through university. It gave me a chance to kind of come together with friends and compete and have fun outside. I think that was something that we really looked forward to every summer. And it was something that really brought a group of us together and be able to play, and actually met some pretty cool people along the way and playing with them. So I think to me, it was, always a fun thing that, knew that summer was around the corner, and it was off the ice, which was something different for me. So I think that was something really cool. And some memories I had, I mean, we played in a lot of tournaments, a lot of, local tournaments. We also were able to go to the nationals and the provincials and that kind of stuff. So Kingston always sticks out to me. We had I think it was maybe a national tournament in Kingston, and I always loved that little city. And I think it was a beautiful weekend, and something like that. I think I probably got so sunburnt that weekend, but it was always a lot of fun. And I'm not even sure if we won, but I think the coolest thing was just being together. And I think it's it's kind of neat how it brings a lot of different people together and things like that. So.
No, from running laps in Barrie to stay warm to applying the aloe afterwards in Kingston, Jamie, you have quite the resume of just being in the career of playing hockey. I kind of want to rewind the clock a little bit and talk about just your upbringing, how you first got started in hockey. Was there anyone particular that kind of brought you into the game, or was it just seeing a hockey game on TV, kind of, or how do you start in the sport?
Well, my dad grew up playing, and he actually grew up in Unionville, which is in Markham, Ontario, and some kind of cool names that came out of Unionville was like Steven Stamkos, Jillian Apps, and some of those names that came out of that area. And I think when I was like 4 or 5, he had a tournament in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and like apparently when I was watching my dad play, I turned to my mom and said, "Hey, I want to play hockey just like him." And next season, I had skates on and was in little mites buzzing around the ice. So I think that's where I kind of got it from. And ever since, my parents have been some of my biggest supporters. So that's how I got introduced to it, and then I fell in love with it ever since.
Amazing.
Jamie, we wanted to ask you, because you've represented Canada with the national team, putting the Canadian jersey on for the first time, how did that feel? And how does it continue to feel?
Well, I think, I mean, a lot of the times, a lot of the girls that if you ask, I mean, it never gets old, and that's the honest truth. I mean, there's not really any way other to put it. I think, especially as a female player, I think that's kind of our Stanley Cup and our big goal, because we unfortunately right now don't have a league to play in. But I think, as a kid, I grew up watching, girls like Jana Hefford, Carolyn Ouellette, and, in the Olympics. So that was always my goal and my dream. And the first time that I got to put the jersey on, I think was, I don't even remember what year it was, but I remember it was an under 18 event. And I remember it was like the coolest thing. We all put it on together, and it was something really special. And, even at that age, I think you knew how big it was. You got to represent your country. And, hockey being so big as it is in Canada, I think, when you get to be, a part of a group, maybe 20 players top in Canada, I think it's pretty special. And, I think you should take pride in that. And, and even now as an older player in the program and being a part of the senior program, and I mean, it definitely doesn't get old, because it, being a part of that small group that gets to do that, I think it's really, really special.
Yeah, and on the Olympic stage, you definitely represent the Canadian team a handful of times, judging by your resume. But I want to touch base a little bit on playing for Clarkson University, where you got named the MVP for top female hockey player in the league. What kind of like when you found out about that? That's got to be a huge moment for you in your career. Explain to me like that, and how does like something like that compare to throwing on that Canada jersey?
I mean, I think, when you go to university, I think you definitely don't have a goal like that in mind, and or something. I mean, I definitely didn't have that in the back of my head, that's for sure. And I mean, my career at Clarkson is kind of a cool story. I mean, when I went there as a freshman, my first year, we were supposed to be this amazing team, and we had all these new recruits coming in, and we ended up setting a record for the most losses. And so
Uh-oh.
as a freshman coming into the program, I think, you're so excited to get this new chapter of your life started, and we, didn't go as planned. And the cool thing about it is that group of girls, there was 8 of us at the time that were in that class. We kind of made a pact that we never wanted to feel like that again. We wanted to make sure that we continued to build, and, we needed to change things around, the culture of the team if we ever wanted to, not feel like that again. And fast forward to senior year, when we actually set a record for the most wins at the time in 2014. And so
That's quite an improvement.
it was definitely an improvement, and something really special that, is kind of neat to be a part of. And I mean, the Patty Kazmaier Award is something that, is pretty prestigious in the NCAA Division I. And you look at the names that are, on that or a part of that trophy now, it's, it's a pretty cool group to be a part of, and something that I definitely never expected. But I mean, the cool thing about that weekend was, we ended up winning a national championship the next day. And that to me was the biggest thing. And with that group of girls that had built that program for 4 years, I think that was the most special to me. I mean, obviously the Patty Kaz was a cherry on top, but again, it was that whole season was just something that I'll definitely never forget.
I want to ask you, Jamie, because it was recently announced that the 2020 World Championships was canceled, and I was reading your Instagram post, and at the end there was a paragraph that I would love to read if that's okay, because I just thought it was just so great. So you said, "One thing I can promise you, women's hockey is resilient. We can get up, continue to work, even though once again we don't know when or where the next competition will be. That's just how we are built. I can't wait for everyone to see what we've been working on, because our game is better than ever. We just need a chance to show it." Can you explain that last paragraph? Because when I read it, I just was blown away by it.
Yeah, so I mean, like everything in this pandemic, it's been, I mean, pretty tough for everyone the last 14, 15 months. And I mean, women's hockey has been at kind of a standstill for the last 2 seasons, and with the Canadian Women's Hockey League folding, and us trying to figure out a solution at the highest level for women's hockey. And it's just been kind of a grind for everybody involved. And so 14 months ago, I was named to that 2020 world championship team. And I remember sitting on my couch. This was at the beginning of the pandemic, and we had a phone call with our GM, Gina Kingsbury, and she had told us that the world championship was going to be canceled. And, at the time, it was one of the first events in sports to be canceled, before everything kind of went, to crap. But I think it was still a shock. I was sitting on my couch and it was a huge shock. And, I was like, okay, what now? When are we going to be able to play again? And women's hockey, especially for myself or the girls that I train and play with, the World Championship that's the thing we look forward to every year. That's our Stanley Cup. That's our playoffs. So for that to be taken away was really hard. And then, fast forward 14 months later, and we were actually in Halifax ready to, we were in the middle of a selection camp prior to the 2021 World Championship. And 24 hours before, all the teams were set to come in and we were set to name our team. The Nova Scotia province decided to cancel our World Championship. And I think that was probably one of the hardest news I've ever heard in a long time. And, I think, yes, there's a pandemic. Yes, there's a lot going on in the world. But for us, we had set our sights on that for 14 months, and we had trained. We've gotten up early. We had trained in our living rooms, our backyards, everything. We've tried everything we can just to get better and try to get to that moment. And, I probably could have managed with it being canceled a month out, but 24 hours before, it was really, really heartbreaking. And a lot of us didn't really know where to go after that. It was hard, right? Like we had our sights on this goal, and for it to be taken away so soon before the tournament, it was really, really hard. And for all the countries involved, not just us, I think that was really hard. And, I have been a part of, the PWHPA for 2 years, and there's enough good people in this sport that I think the sport is not going anywhere, and it's going to continue to get better no matter what's going on around it. And again, what I said at the end is, I can't wait for you to see it, is that once we do get a chance to show everybody this sport, people will be very, very impressed and I think really happy with what we've been working on. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just want to payback off Vinny there. That gave me chills when he was reading that out loud. And that was very well put together, Jamie. And honestly, it's it really speaks to your character, like how encouraging you are. As in, this isn't the end, because I could only imagine being there, quarantining, following the protocols, and then having the plug yanked like that. It's heartbreaking, but there certainly sounds like there's some events coming up. Oh, sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah. No, sorry. I think, like I said, we followed everything to a T. We sacrificed, I hadn't left my house in a long time, and training with masks on, training on the ice with masks on, not doing anything, really. I hadn't seen my family in a long time, things like that, little things that kind of add up, to just trying to make sure that we can get safely to this event. And then for something like that to happen was really, really hard. And, I think it can be, especially as an athlete, I enjoy training, thankfully, not everybody does. I love to train. I love, going on the ice and practicing, but there's, we want to compete. That's the reason why we play. And there's only so many times you can practice on your own or practice in small groups until it kind of wears on you mentally. And it felt like the wind was out of the sails, but, I think, you got to kind of regroup. And I think everyone's in the same boat. We had to take a little bit to kind of process it, but I think right now, everyone's feeling a little bit more motivated than they did maybe a couple weeks ago.
So just the follow off that, I know our play on fans, they're also itching to get back out there, play some ball hockey under the sun. Of course, it's what kind of encouraging things you could say to maybe some of the fans out there that you're saying to yourself as you wait for your next game.
Yeah, hang in there. I think, get out there, enjoy the weather right now. But I don't know. It'll feel so good once we were able to do things like that again. I think, even though it's kind of, we're kind of in a tough spot, especially in Ontario right now in the world. But it'll feel really good once we do get to go back to it. I'm just picturing the sun and a little bit of music happening and lawn chairs out there waiting for your next game. That was kind of the thing that I really enjoyed, is we used to bring lawn chairs and lunch, and we used to sit there and wait for our next game to come. And so I think
that's a recipe for a good day.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So I think, I don't know, hang in there, and it'll feel even better when you're able to get your group of friends together or your teams together and be able to play, because it'll really feel good after however long this is gonna take to clear up for sure.
Obviously, you are a big voice in our Play On community. Why should Play On come back?
Well, why not? I think there's a lot of reasons why not it should come back. I mean, it brings people together. First of all, you have people from all ages, all backgrounds. Like, you don't even have to play hockey to enjoy it, right? There's different levels for a reason. There's different, ages, and I think it brings people together, and you're outside for a weekend. You're enjoying the sun, even if it's raining. I remember a couple tournaments I played, it was pouring rain, and it was still just as fun as if it was sunny out, right? So I think it brings the community together. It brings people together, and just enjoy a day outside. I don't think it gets much better than that.
And now, Trey, I'd be remorse to not miss a question like this. Yeah, I feel like we're on that basis where we could use the hockey nicknames a little bit now. We're a couple minutes into this pod, but tell me about playing in that gold medal game. Like, because I picture myself in the play-on tournament battling in that championship. So maybe I could get a couple pointers here about you and your experience of being in that the winner take all matchup of that gold medal game. What's it like playing in one of those?
It's a lot of fun. The key is changes, right? Like, the good changes is key, especially on the.
Oh, I'm gonna need it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that. It's been a long quarantine for me.
tired being out there, but I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it gets really. I mean, you've seen it gets really competitive, and I think that's what makes it so fun. And the big thing is good changes, good water breaks, and shoot whenever you can. I think sometimes you can score from the other end of the rink or the street. I think it's really important. But I don't know. I think usually by the end of the Sunday, there's people gathered around. Usually we're on the big rink with the boards, and it's a ton of fun. So I know I remember me and my friends, we always used to get the music going and get ourselves going for that game. It was always a ton of fun. It got a little competitive at times where I'm sure my fiery side came out, but it was definitely a lot of fun. And we always play for the good prizes that Scott puts together. So
Yeah, I know
He does.
Scott has that shoot first mentality.
oh,
He's let it known in meetings, of course.
well,
So we got to look out for that.
he shoots first because he cherry picks. He sits by the end with this cherry. But I always give him grief for it because we always used to play in those the staff games or all-star games, and he would just stand by the other end and wait for a pass. But I won't. Don't tell him I said that.
Yeah, of course, and that's Scott Hill, the CEO of the Play On tournament. And Jamie, I know you talked about music there. You kept saying music. What's your jam for these days? Like, is there something particularly that you like to listen to pump you
I
up?
don't know.
Or
I'm a big, like, before games. I like I'm a little bit of everything. I like some dance, or but I like Cinderella Man by Eminem is like my go-to before games. Like, that's my
that's
thing.
a good beat.
But I feel like in the summertime, like when you're outside, I feel like maybe some old 80s or like country. Like, that's to me, like, I mean, I grew up, like I said, at my cottage. That was like, I grew up on 80s. That was my thing. So I don't know, a little Bob Seger, or I don't know, a little AC/DC. That sounds like something that I would
Oh, there we go.
sunny out and on a Saturday in the summer. That sounds like my type of music.
Yeah, I know I'm up in Sudbury right now, so like country music is a must
Yes.
in the summer. What about you, Vinny?
I'm just getting into country music. I never
Oh,
really listened to it before, but Chris Stapleton, he's my guy right now. I love his music.
That's good. That's a good choice too. I mean, that's one thing we also do miss is concerts too, and I feel like country is big in the summertime for concerts. So
yeah, and let's not forget some good old Canadian bands like the Arkells. I could just imagine a good
absolutely.
day hearing some of their hits playing throughout the day. That'd be a fun little time.
A little tragically hip, Bob Cajun maybe.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. Love the
Yeah.
tragedy hip.
Yeah, me too.
And last question for you, Jamie. The Dream Gap Tour that's coming out. You're taking part of that. I know you're probably like just itching to get back on the sheet of ice there. Can you tell us a little bit about this tour and how excited are you?
Yeah, so for those of people that don't know, the PWHPA, the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, we formed this Players Association a couple of years ago when the Canadian Women's Hockey League folded, and it was essentially just us as a big player association the best players in the world trying to come together and figure out a viable solution for women's hockey and find a league or find a solution that is sustainable over, not just 1 year or 2 years, over 10, 15, 20 years, similar to what the WNBA has done. And so in a regular world, our first year, we were able to tour around North America, and we would put together teams on the weekend, and we would showcase these games, and people would come watch. And we're trying to grow the game, trying to show what kind of product we have. And so this season, obviously, it's been a little bit difficult because of the pandemic, but fortunately, the U.S. teams have been playing a couple. They're actually playing this weekend right now in St. Louis, and we were finally able, on the Canadian side, we're able to do our side of the Dream Gap Tour, and so we're getting together next week in Calgary, and there's 3 Canadian teams. There's a team in Toronto, Team Sonnet, team in Montreal, Team Bauer, and there's a team in Calgary, Team Scotiabank. So we're getting together for a week, and we're going to play in a whole bunch of games and kind of try to give away the Canadian Cup, and definitely itching to get out there. It's been tough because we haven't, especially in Ontario, we haven't really been able to skate a ton as a group per se, but it'll be good to get back on the ice and actually compete for something. I think that'll be, I think the product will be really good that people get to watch. And, I just can't wait. I think it's, even though it's only a week long, it'll feel like it doesn't matter how long it is or, the people that are there, it'll feel pretty good once we win it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of hockey in a week.
Yeah, we're set to play at least 4 for a round robin. If you make the final, 5 in 7 days, so it's a lot. But it's I really give kudos to the PW and Jana Hefford and Chelsea Purcell, who have really worked hard behind the scenes, and also the players, our board members who have helped us get together. I mean, it's been a grind through the pandemic and trying to get the exemptions and that kind of stuff. You gotta jump through hoops right now, and we were able to get it done. So I'm really, really excited.
There's no doubt, Jamie, I think that women's hockey is definitely on the rise. We thank you so much for speaking with us. We hope to see you at the Playon event, hopefully in 2022. But on behalf of everybody at Playon, thank you for being such a big voice. Thank you for doing this. And where can people follow you on social?
My social handle is rat26, RATT26 on Instagram, Twitter, that kind of stuff. So you can follow me there, and I'm trying to become a better social media goer. So you can follow me there and see what I'm up to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully, once things clear up, we could be on your team. I'll make sure you get a fresh towel. Vincent's on the water, and we might have a winner.
Right, I'd love to have you guys, for sure.
Awesome. All right, thank you again.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you, Jamie.